Vapors are actively loaded into the xylem, which in turn causes water to enter the xylem vessel. Pressure within the xylem increases, forcing the water upward. That is the root pressure. Water movement through the leaf. The heat of the light energy raises the temperature of the leaf, and water in the spongy mesophyll tissue is changed into the water vapor. There is 100% saturation of the substomata airspace, which contrasts with the very low percentage saturation of air with water vapor. With the stomata pore open, this gradient operates only over one cell thickness. Water evaporates into the air. The water lost from the leaf draws new water vapor from the spongy mesophyll through the symplast and the apoplast movement into the substomata airspace. In turn, the water molecules of the mesophyll space draws water molecules from the end of the xylem. Let us go to the cohesion tension theory of the transpiration. Water evaporates from the leaf surface through the stomata pores and releases into the atmosphere. The rate of transpiration is affected by humidity, light intensity, temperature, air movements, and water supply. Water evaporates from the cell walls of pelagic and spongy mesophyll cells into the substomata cavity. The loss of water lowers the water potential of these cells. Water is drawn into them from neighboring mesophyll cells with a higher water potential. This continues until water is drawn from the xylem vessels in the leaf down a water potential gradient through the apoplast, symplast, and vacuolar pathway. Water molecules form a continuous water column in the xylem vessels due to cohesion. That is, the hydrogen bonds that form between water molecules causes them to stick together. Attractive forces between water molecules and the hydrophilic xylem walls that cause adhesion help to prevent the water column from moving down. As water is lost by transpiration, more water is continuously pulled into the mesophyll cells to replace the water loss. This pulling force is known as transpiration pull. The removal of water from the top of the xylem vessels reduces the hydrostatic pressure. This creates a negative pressure in the xylem vessel. The water column is under tension and is pulled from the roots to the leaves. Xylem vessels have strong liquefied walls to withstand the tension and to prevent them from collapsing. Definition of transpiration. Transpiration is defined as the loss of water in the form of water vapor from the internal tissues of living plants through the aerial parts such as the leaves, the green shoots, article, and the presence of the sunlight. Plants absorb a large quantity of water from the soil by means of roots and root hairs. However, only a small fraction, that is about 1.2% of the absorbed water, is utilized by the plants for its metabolic activities. The remainder, that is 98% to 99%, excessive amount of the absorbed water is lost to the atmosphere by the psychological process known as transpiration. It is a universal process. Now, let us talk about the stages in transpiration. First, the water enters the root. Then the water travels up through the xylem tubes. And finally, water evaporates through the stomata in the leaves. Transpiration occurs through the two successive stages. At first, water is lost from the mesophyll cells of the leaf into the intercellular spaces. Subsequently, water diffuses from the intercellular spaces into the outer atmosphere in the form of water vapor, either through the stomata or general surface of epidermis of leaves. The importance of transpiration. Transpiration serves two useful functions. It maintains a water potential gradient that moves water and dissolved minerals from the roots to the aerial parts of the plants. It also cools the plants during hot and dry weather. Factors affecting the transpiration. The first factor is the light. Plants transpire more rapidly in the light than in the dark. At daytime, the increasing light intensity stimulates the opening of the stomata. However, when in the dark, the stomata close and thus the rate of transpiration decreases. Light also speeds up transpiration by warming the leaf. Second is the temperature. Plants transpire more rapidly at higher temperatures because water evaporates more rapidly as the temperature rises. This is due to the increasing of kinetic energy and movement of water molecule, so they move up from the stomata more quickly. At 30 degrees Celsius, a leaf may transpire 3 times as fast as it does at 20 degrees Celsius. The third one is the humidity. The rate of diffusion of any substance increases as the difference in concentration of the substances in the two regions increases. When the surrounding air is dry, diffusion of water out of the leaf goes on more rapidly. Similarly, when the humidity is high, that is the high vapor pressure, the rate of transpiration decreases. Next is the air movement. moving air carries the water vapor away at the outside of the stomata. A high concentration gradient is then created. The water vapor from the substomatal cavity diffuses rapidly to the outside. When there is no moving air, the humidity of the air surrounding a leaf increasing. Water vapor accumulates around the stomata. Thus, the concentration gradient decreases and the water loss reduces. The fifth one is the soil water. A plant cannot continue to transfer it rapidly if its water loss is not made up by a replacement from the soil. When absorption of water by the roots fails to keep up with the rate of transpiration, the loss of turgor occurs and the stomata are closed. This immediately reduces the rate of transpiration as well as of photosynthesis. If the loss of the turgor extends to the rest of the leaf and stem, the plant will wilt. Internal factors affecting the rate of transpiration are the number of stomata. Plants with few stomata, thin needle-shaped and row leaf, decrease the surface area exposed to air and reduce the evaporation of water from the leaves. Next, the surface area of the leaf. The larger the surface area of the leaf, the higher the rate of transpiration. The thickness of the cuticle. Thick waxy cuticles can prevent water loss. On the other hand, thinner and less waxy cuticles allow more water to be lost. Distribution of the stomata. Most plants have most of the stomata on the lower surface of the leaf, where the stomata are less exposed to environmental conditions. Do you know that the rate of transpiration can be measured by using the petrometer? This diagram shows a petrometer. A petrometer measures the rate of water uptake by a plant. It does not measure the transpiration directly. Most of the water absorbed is lost in transpiration. The water uptake by the plant is just assumed to be the same as the water loss by transpiration.